Of all the places in Brooklyn to be cool, I would have never figured on Red Hook, man. I mean, you can kind of figure out like why Williamsburg and Bushwick and those places are cool because the subway connects them to New York City. There's mass transit. Red Hook's the middle of nowhere. I mean, to get to Red Hook, you got to take a bus, basically. Nearest subway stop's 25 minutes, the F train to Carroll. So it's crazy. This used to be the docks of New York City. Like on the waterfront, that movie, they filmed it in Hoboken, but that was the story of Red Hook. All the merchandise that came through New York came through Red Hook. When containerized vessels replaced the need for dock workers unloading boats, all that stuff moved to Jersey. And then Red Hook just kind of languished. It was always been blue collar working class, but then the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, this was like way off the grid, and now it's on fire. So today we're spending a whole day in Red Hook. Best barbecue place in New York City, Hometown BBQ, Red Hook. Uncouth Vermouth, she's so cool. She's making a little small batch Vermouth. Red Hook, Brooklyn. Red Hook Winery. They're doing really great wines in Red Hook. We're gonna do all of these places. We're gonna go revisit Bake. We were there a while ago, he was a pioneer. Spend the day in Red Hook, a little peninsula in what used to be called South Brooklyn, surrounded by water on three sides. Only way to get here is by bus or by car, but it's worth it. Red Hook's the show. I'm Mike Colameco, industry insider. Been in the business my whole life, and I know what it takes to succeed. Each week we'll take you into real kitchens, filmed in real time. Backstage passes to a day in the life of chefs, restaurateurs, and their teams. The competition's fierce. Careers, life savings, and reputations hang in the balance. These are my people, and this is their passion. And that's what's next on Mike Colameco's Real Food. Mike Colameco's Real Food is brought to you by the continuous, generous support of the following underwriters.
Extra virgin olive oil from Colavita, an Italian family brand.
Rachel Ray's signature specialty food line, designed for preparing meals at home.
Hold on, I gotta sober up.
I
know it's gonna be bad. We gotta do this PG.
You wanna get it right off and just have a shot and nip it in the bud? And what do you want to do?
Let's do that.
All right.
Let's do that.
Yeah, you look like you need it. What are you drinking?
Whatever you are, brother.
It's that country song. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
To Hometown, to you, to Red Hook.
I guess that's a proper way to start an interview. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, brother. So, what led you? Because you got this crazy story. Crazy story. Like barbecue's kind of gotten, like New York's getting some decent barbecue in, let's say, the last half a dozen years.
Yeah.
Like serious Q.
Yeah.
And then you come in from I don't know where to this place, which is I don't know where. I mean, Fairway's across the street, but Red Hook's Red Hook. It's kind of like remote, to put it mildly. And everyone just lines up, like this is the best barbecue in the city. What led you to barbecue? What's that story?
So I was in the private security industry. We dealt with close-in protection for mainly celebrities and well-known people internationally.
Like a bodyguard kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't love that term, but yeah.
It's what it is.
Bullet catcher's good.
Bullet catcher. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
And so you traveled, and you end up like going through Texas and barbecue places.
So I traveled, and you know, South America was amazing, and you know, international cuisine is always fun. But when I got to a little place in Taylor, Texas called Louis Miller Barbecue, it literally changed my life. Wayne Miller, the third-generation pitmaster and owner of Louis Miller's now, has become one of my closest friends in not only barbecue but in the world. And you know, we kind of pinch ourselves all the time of how we met and where we met, and then how far I've come in a pretty short period of time.
So we got brisket here, we got the regular brisket, we got the ends here, we got cornbread. That's a lot of love right there. That is the beef rib, ladies and gentlemen. Holy mackerel. Whoa. I'm not going to get into the whole barbecue politics, but we all know it. So there's the Texas thing, and there's the beef thing, and the pork guys, and Carolina and South. But
I would definitely say I'm the anti that. Right?
You are, because you have this whole ginormous kind of barbecue menu that just, it's the focus is just on making great stuff, from brisket to pork.
Yeah.
To pulled pork, to ribs, and then you have those crazy wings.
Let's make no mistake. I mean, I pay homage to Central Texas with our beef rib and brisket, but that's where it stops. We're very well known as a Texas barbecue hall, and we don't love that as a mantra because, you know, the room definitely feels that way. And you walk in here, to right now, it's smoky. And,
I know,
it smells amazing.
It smells amazing. It looks
I haven't
amazing.
been here in 3 to 4 days, which is very rare for me. So I walked in and I got to smell it again, and I'm like, wow, that never gets old, you know?
Right.
But, you know, I grew up, I'm a street kid from Brooklyn. I grew up in a great neighborhood called Old Mill Basin in the Flatbush section of Brooklyn. And, you know, it was generally an Irish, Italian, Jewish neighborhood. But when we came to the outskirts of it, there was a great West Indian, Caribbean culture and Korean grocers, Vietnamese grocers, you know, all sorts of cool people that I got to pull from. So I say it all the time. We grow up in the best multi-ethnic cultural experience in the world. And I want to tap into those flavors, the smells, the sights, the sounds that I enjoyed as a kid. Oh, look, he knows how to get it dramatic.
There.
How's it going?
Good. Ida Blue.
Ida
Just
Blue?
talking about this girl.
I know, pretty random that she would appear like this.
It is kind of random.
Yeah.
We didn't stage this, actually.
No, we
Meant
did
to
not.
be. Meant to be. I
you
was
had these-
starving.
Have you had this before? Yes.
Too many times.
All right, let's go. Let's
All right,
begin.
that's it. I'm
Without
going
any
right in the
further
middle.
ado.
I like this one.
Nice.
What am I eating, chef?
So this is our Jamaican jerk baby back rib, 3.5 hours on all oak cherry fire.
Please.
3 days in a Jamaican marinade, smoked, and then finished on an all wood fired asado grill.
I'm rarely this quiet for this long. This is so stupidly good.
Thanks, man. This is a really tender rib.
This is the first thing I've had today.
Me too.
Me too. All of us. No, we had a shot of bourbon.
We had a shot of bourbon to start.
Just
So-
Where's
sorry.
my shot of bourbon to
well,
start?
we'll get to it. We're gonna finish with one.
All right.
We're building up in volume.
I'll
Well,
take
yeah.
it. I'll catch up.
But yeah, this is
We making pork belly tacos. Salsa verde, pickled onions, taco cream.
every weird blogger says, oh yeah, the domain for hipsters, Hometown. And then you walk in here and it's like firemen, cops, old men, Wall Streeters, you know, young girls from Old Mill Basin, and
There's only one of me.
and old men from the Lower East Side.
Thank you.
So
I'm here.
You're
in
here
good
representing.
company. This is
and
great.
shanty Irish guys from half-assed nowhere in Brooklyn. So.
Shanty, indeed. All right, these are the Chinese sticky ribs, man. We're gonna have these tonight. They look slamming.
I love ribs. I love all sorts of ribs. So I wanted to put on a really weird thing, and I was gonna make like a Moroccan lamb rib. That's where I was going with that. And I just forgot about them. And literally, that was, you know, before we opened, we were
Right.
busy, you know, building the place. And 11 hours later, I pulled them out, and I literally was able to slide all the bones out. And it was
Like,
literally like you didn't have to even touch it, like, and all the bones pulled out, and I was left with this gelatinous, perfect thing. So I said, you know, what can I do with that? And I was a massive fan of Vietnamese banh mi sandwiches. So I said, no one's doing a lamb belly banh mi, let me do it that way. The bread is so crispy. The lamb is decadent and fat. The hot sauce is sweet and spicy. It's really,
this is just ridiculous.
thank you.
I mean, this is like a greatest hits menu. Like, this is like an album where there's no B-side.
That is literally the goal.
All right, so it's lunchtime.
Yeah, it's lunchtime.
And
So
you've got a healthy pour. That's apple juice. Smells like apple juice. Smells like good apple.
it's what I consider selfish bourbon because we don't have a bourbon in front of us. But
you didn't ask. I
Selfish.
couldn't force you on.
it's a selfish whiskey.
bourbon. All right.
I heard you had them before.
All right, so Michael, this is pastrami bacon. So instead of doing a traditional New York navel pastrami, we
Right.
get the belly of the bacon, cure it for brine and cure it for 5-6 days, inject it with the brine to speed up the process, and that's it, man. We put our own pastrami,
Spices.
house-made pastrami spices on there, smoke it for about 12 hours, then get it really, really, really cold, and then slice it per slice to order, finished on an all-wood asado grill. So if we did it right, it should definitely melt right in your mouth.
Right. God.
This isn't rocket science. You buy beautiful, beautiful meat, and then you let the meat do the talking.
And then you do wings. Talk about that, because I remember like, we ate the whole menu last time I was here. I mean, it was
we
kinda
literally
like
ate through the whole menu.
It's kind of like a blur. And at one point towards the end, 7 or 8 of these wings come, and I just pick one up and I bite it, and I'm like, whoa. And I'm getting citrus in the marinade, and I'm getting gochujang.
But I never really, I mean, we try to flip things on their heads here all the time. So for me, I wanted to taste Asian flavors. So we decided that we wanted to put a light smoke on the wing for about 3 hours on oak and cherry. And then it comes off, we deep fry it for 5 minutes and then toss it in this, house-made Vietnamese hot sauce. Toasted sesame seeds, cilantro, and scallions. But the wings are really, really, really clean and I love that word, clean, citrusy, spicy, and then salty. And, it has all those components, It really is a good wing. We've gotten a lot of press lately on our wings.
And what was this space before you got
So this was a place called
this industrial.
This was a place called T&A Woodworkers. So you can imagine what went on in this freaking joint.
I'm gonna have to guess.
But this place just felt right to me. And at the time, people were opening up on train stops, like perfect train stops. And I just thought, wow, that's not how I think of barbecue when I eat it, because I fly 3.5 hours, rent a car, drive 2 hours, sit on a line for another 1.5 hours for a pork sandwich. Same as in Texas. I'll fly almost 4 hours, get in a car, drive 1 hour and 20 minutes to Louis Miller's just for their beef rib or everything they make there is great. And that's the beauty of barbecue. People will travel.
Phew, brisket looks like.
When you're sitting on a fire for 16 to 18 hours a day doing it the old authentic way, people respect that and people will come for it. So if you build it, they'll come if you put in the work. Now show them the insides.
So this is really like the piece de resistance.
That's 14 hours on white oak, 14 to 16 hours depending on how much stuff is in the cooker. Last night was a little bit of a lighter night, so it was probably 14 hours, white oak, all white oak.
Can you curse?
That's a good start right
Wow.
there. See that? It's not
bleep it
breaking
out.
apart from itself.
I know.
Well, I think we should drink before I
To the
sing.
blues,
To the
to
blues.
Bill Basin, to Hometown BBQ, to Red Hook.
Billy Journey.
To life, delightful. I am.
Sunny.
It's a sweet sunny. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Going away, it won't be long. I know you'll miss me singing this lonesome song. I'm going away, won't be long.
Damn.
And then you'll know you must have done me wrong. Why aren't you clapping?
I'm in love.
My daddy got ways like a baby child. His doggone ways, they driving me wild. His doggone ways, they driving me wild. And that is why you never see poor Ida smile.
I think I'll just go all the way to the end and kind of loop back, it's almost easier that way.
Tell me about like the whole nexus for this idea of this winery in this part of town. Why?
I grew up in Brooklyn. I worked with Billy Joel for a bunch of years and I watched what he did for the local community for a long time. And I was sick of being on airplanes and tour buses for 11 months out of the year. So I wanted to start something that I was really passionate about. So when I started Angel Share many years later, I put my office down in Red Hook. And that was in 2004. And then winemakers that I had started to work with would come and visit New York. And they also fell in love with Red Hook. And so Abe Schoner, who was a good friend and one of the producers, brands that I work with, Scolium Project, kept saying, like, how do I spend more time in Red Hook? I said, let's put a winery in. It makes sense. It's putting my money where my mouth is, supporting local, create something to unify the New York growing region and the producers. I traveled all over the world for 25 years and I realized that Brooklyn was actually the best place in the world long before everyone else realized it. And then also to reinvigorate the industrial spirit of Brooklyn and the manufacturing history that existed right here in this building. These are some old vines, vineyards in Cutchogue. Each bottle has not only the winemaker and their little symbol,
Right.
but it has the varietal and the vineyard. There's no SO2 used.
None.
Except bottling.
Minimal amount at bottling.
Yeah, yeah. So this is an Abe Schoner 2013 Jamesport Vineyard Sauvignon Blanc.
So funny. So Sauvignon Blanc, you think, I mean, you and I drink a lot of wine, and Bordeaux, birthplace, Loire Valley, great expression, and it travels the world. And so much of it, to me, is the finished product in the bottle into the glass is commercial yeast.
Yeah.
Pyrazine, cat pissy, super
Yep.
tropical fruit. I mean, you could buy that from a catalog of yeasts.
Yeah. Well,
You taste, I mean, to some extent.
yeah.
And this is so not that.
I think most of that is farming. I think most of it is farming, and some of it, some people would argue, is terroir. Like New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, I actually love New Zealand Sauvignon. It's like a guilty pleasure, but you know, you can.
You do, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
all right, for what it is.
for what it is,
Yeah.
of course. You know, hot summer day, you're outside, beautiful. My concept became an urban winery. The disconnect that I found working with wine buyers throughout New York City, one of the most important wine markets in the world, is that they've been to Burgundy, they've been to Piedmont, they've been all these places all over the world, but they've never been to our local growing region, the closest region, which is an hour away. So my first solution was, let's bring New York wine to New York City. And putting our money where our mouth is actually putting the winery in close proximity, where people on their lunch break could learn about wine and experience our local, you know, viticulture. Let's start with McCarry Merlot.
Okay.
2015, so this is really a baby.
Okay.
These are really, really young wines. Let's start with the AS. So it still is pretty light in color. It's just starting to come around. Now,
It's a baby.
it's a baby.
Yeah.
But the one thing that is important to realize about the fundamental differences between Abe and Bob. Abe hates fruit flavors.
And we're talking about Merlot.
Yeah.
And he hates fruit flavors.
He does not want a wine to talk of blackberries. He would love for a wine to talk of fur and
Wool,
leather.
That's all right.
Anything
Tobacco,
else but blackberries.
cedar, blah, 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 blah.
Whereas Bob Foley, if you talked about primary personalities of things like fur and wool, he'd be pretty upset. So that's where they fundamentally part ways.
It's a big fundamental difference.
Yeah. But it's great because it allows us to produce two very, very different wines from the exact same place and grapes. It gives us a lot of, you know, viewpoint on the New York growing region.
Keep up what you're doing, man. This is way cool. Really, really cool. Red Oak, like, fascinates me.
Thank you.
Like how this place, I hate to say the middle of nowhere in the context of the New York boroughs, but like to get here you need like a bus.
You do. It's a little
The New York
hard to get
subway
to.
stops like 30 minutes into Carroll Gardens to like the F train.
It is.
So we're off the grid.
We are off the grid.
And you were one of the early guys here.
I'd say one of the early settlers. You know, there were people here before me, obviously.
Obviously there were dock workers, there was
I wasn't
Marlon
the
Brando.
first, yeah. But we came in early on, and we opened in 2005. And
What was it like then?
It was,
and what possessed you? Why
it
here
was
then?
okay. Well, it was a very different place. It's changed quite a bit. But back then it was you know, it was really quiet. You know, there were tumbleweeds, kind of. There was that kind of situation. What possessed us?
Cheap rent.
Cheap rent, a lot of space, and the fact that my business partner Matt Lewis and I, we were new to the business. And we thought, hey, if we open up off the grid, literally off the grid, away from everything, we could mess up royally and no one will know, you know? And also there was a need for it. There were no other coffee shops here. Brooklyn already was kind of saturated with like coffee shops and, you know, shops and all those kinds of businesses, and there was nothing here other than a diner, a restaurant, and a couple of, and you know, some famous bars, but that's about it.
R.I.P. Sonny's, I know. We were going to do that on the show, but
yeah,
we're not.
The first couple of years it was pretty quiet, and then once IKEA and Fairway opened, things started kind of a snowball effect, where you started seeing like little shops opening up, more restaurants, more little boutiques. Then we got the cruise ship terminal. Then everything kind of led up to Sandy. And I honestly thought things were just going to stop at that point.
We're done.
We were done.
Now everyone realizes there's a new map of New York. It is a floodplain map, which no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
And Red Hook is basically underwater.
Oh, it's like, you know, the red zone. It is the reddest zone. Yet that didn't really deter anybody. Actually, if anything, it sped the process up until now where, you know, all I'm seeing is construction here. Up until a couple of weeks ago, a Tesla dealership opened up literally down the road, and I'm like, okay, sure, this is the new Red Hook.
This is the new Madison Avenue.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is, and I think they're proposing streetcars.
They are.
Yep.
De Blasio has a plan to connect Queens with this part of Brooklyn with streetcars.
Okay,
which I know Red Hook, there's like people that are adamantly opposed to it. And there's a lot of people that are saying, dude,
and Red
it's progress.
Hook, yeah, exactly. Red Hook has always been that. It's always been half the people are fighting and half the people are fine. And I think that's what gives this neighborhood that kind of energy.
Look at that. And your business is great. So baked goods, delicious stuff, specialties all the time.
Yep.
And you've opened up in Manhattan. This grew so well that you did like the reverse thing.
Exactly.
Which is,
we flipped it.
Right. Be successful here and then open up a shop in Tribeca.
It took us a decade, but yeah, we opened up in Tribeca a little over a year ago. And you know, up until then, we were just growing the business kind of like through licensing products. We wrote cookbooks and mixes and bakeware and all that stuff.
I remember.
Yeah.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you so much, man.
So just a few samplings of what I made this past year, which was 8.
8 batches.
8 different vermouths.
All different. What led you to this one little corner, this one little pocket of the spirit universe?
I was doing some interesting cocktail events, and you know, I had been working as a bartender, you know, for 8 years, and I was making drinks always and really into it, and I had this kind of epiphany where I noticed that, you know, the way that I treat cocktails as opposed to drinking wines that are, you know, minimal intervention, no chemical additive wines, natural wines for lack of a better term.
Right.
You know, it just became crazy to me that I had been, you know, using citrus and simple syrups and different things in cocktails, and you know, and when I first made vermouth, that's how I approached it as well. I was using vanilla bean and things like that, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Why wouldn't I just use what's in the area?
So what am I looking at, kiddo?
This is
God, this smells so good.
A sort of, you know, virgin batch. This is all Cardoon in a 5-grape wild ferment wine blend, and this is, you know, this is the start of an Amaro batch, and it has a very, very long way to go before it ends up as one of those barrel stacks behind you. But you know, it's just, you know, the best way to kind of see the difference in making vermouth with real plants. So this is all Cardoon that was grown at Blooming Hill Farm in Blooming Grove, New York, which is in northern Westchester. And you know, you can smell, obviously, everybody.
So savory, it smells so amazing, man.
Everybody watching this can't smell it, unfortunately.
No, it's really a shame. It smells so delicious. A white wine is the base.
Yeah.
So,
you know,
let's drop right into that hole. What is vermouth? We go back to where?
So a lot of people think that the word vermouth, you know, Wermut is a German word. It's a Germanic word. It goes back so much further. Aromatized wine, which is what vermouth is, goes back 8,000 years, older than any of the languages we speak. And I'm just kind of going seasonally down the line, although I'm skipping the cherry vermouth I made because it sold out in a week. And I should have made 6 times as much had I known.
Now you know. So you have a house, a farm upstate, Saugerties.
Yep.
Now you're growing pretty much everything you're putting in.
Yeah, we have 16 acres and we're putting 70 edible plants into the ground in the next 2 weeks. And this is the newest in bottle, butternut squash, vermouth raw squash, skins, seeds. But it's light, it's very light, because raw squash is, I think, very fragrant and floral and bright.
How would you advise people to consume this?
Number 1 question, okay.
Is it?
No, the number 1 question is, what is vermouth? The second question
What do I
is,
drink it with?
what do I do with this?
Okay,
Yeah.
so we have already answered the number 1 question, so now we're moving on to 2.
That's true. Number 2 question, However you want, honestly. The only thing I ask is once they're open, keep them in your refrigerator.
Right, don't leave them at room temperature because they're just gonna it's a bottle of wine.
Exactly.
Think of it as a bottle of wine.
Treat it like wine that'll live a long time in your fridge, and it will, and it's never going to go bad. You know, it's making a slow climb to vinegar. You can always drink it. You can use it in sauces. You can use it in salad dressings if you really wait long enough. It's delicious every step of the way.
And where'd the name come from?
So I channeled Bruce Springsteen for the name because I'm from New Jersey. When he was younger, he used to write his lyrics with a rhyming dictionary. And it took me months of every other second thinking of a new name, you know, for this vermouth company that I was destined to own. Finally, I was like, what would Bruce Springsteen do? So I pulled up a rhyming dictionary, and the first word to rhyme with vermouth was uncouth, which suits me so perfectly because I have just a foul mouth, being from New Jersey. And so that was it. There was just no going back. And then a good friend of mine from childhood drew my logo, which is, you know, a silhouette of me in Empire era clothing picking my nose.
It looks like you're picking your nose. I didn't,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, it's a picture, it's a profile.
Well,
so you can leave it up to one's imagination.
Right.
But it does look like your finger's really close to your nose.
Two meanings, you know, ancient etymology. Uncouth is something that is very rare, which suits my vermouth company, which is, you know, an approach to vermouth that currently nobody else is doing. And also it refers to someone with, you know, ill manners, which is also just absolutely perfect for me, so.
It's 9 o'clock at night, we're loading this bad boy. Stuff's gonna be in here for 12 hours. We're on Van Brunt Street in Red Hook. Hard against, I don't know what this is, Buttermilk Channel, some body of water in the greater New York byway. It's been a long day, so it's time for us to eat, drink, and be merry, barbecue style.
Pleasure, guys.
Team Hometown,
Thanks.
thank you, thank you.
Anytime you guys want, come by.
I'm going to. I'll know about that. Most of the night eating. Thank you.
All right, take care, guys.
Thank you. Mike Colameco's Real Food is brought to you by the continuous, generous support of the following underwriters.
Extra virgin olive oil from Colavita, an Italian family brand.
Rachel Ray's signature specialty food line, designed for preparing meals at home.